So how would you say the training from a football player to a basketball player to a baseball player to a track player, track runner, how are those trainings different? Or are they similar in some ways?
They're similar, but each sport uses different bio-motor skills that's required. So like for a sprinter to me, he's got to have a powerful lower extremities, powerful back and all this. So I will make sure I focus on increasing the strength and power in those areas. Or a baseball player, like he's a football player, unless a quarterback isn't going to throw the football, so I don't have to worry about strengthening his rotator cuff or any of these things. To me, a guy who throws or an athlete that throws, a lot of it comes from the hips and these rotation muscles, so their programs will be geared to bring those things up to par.
Now, are all those athletes, the one, I guess I would think the one thing in common that you want them all to be is explosive.
Explosive, yes.
Okay. Now, when we say explosive, or do we mean like quick muscle twitch, or what? Explain that explosive.
Explosive to me is to be able to go from A to B really quickly. And then not only for me, you got to be able to do this repeatedly.
Yeah.
So one of the things, like, you know, everyone's hung up on the vertical leap, how high you jump.
Yeah.
That's not the most important thing to me. For me, it's the one that gets off the ground the quickest. So I teach my kids not only to be explosive, but to react quickly. I think reaction is something that we need to work on more as coaches.
And now, would you say getting off the ground, could we say it as the second jump also?
Yes.
Okay.
Most of my guys explode off the ground and get off quickly. Where everyone else takes a little time, my guys have dunked it and gone because we work on reactive ability also.
And as coaches, how can we get better at that reactive? What is something that you see that maybe we could do a little bit better?
That's a kind of tough question, because to me, before you even get to that sort of thing, you better make sure you build a training base.
Yeah.
And I don't think we spend enough time on the basics first.
And the basics. Building
this foundation. And before we give the kid advanced things.
Basics is simply meaning the core, right?
Core, training your legs, training you how to use weights, you know, how to do training on technique, and using weights in a safe manner that's productive.
Now, off camera, we talked a little bit about running kids into the ground and the lower extremities hurting. Is that something that we can improve on as coaches, or are we still a little far behind that? How can we get better at that? That we understand that the legs do get heavy, the body does get heavy, and that some of these kids, they need some time off, or they need the workout plan has got to change.
Well, I think you just said the magic word when you said plan. I'm not quite sure that everyone plans a workout. They just go out there and say, this is what we're going to do today. But they don't look at how it fits into the whole picture.
Gotcha.
So it should be planned out where you build a base, and then things get progressively tougher, and you're adjusting the volume and the intensity of the loads and all that while you go also. And also not doing the same exercises over and over where you create pattern overloads.
Yeah. And we talked about that too, the pattern overload. One of the examples I asked you about was the bands. You get so many of them. You got so many people doing the same exercise with bands. You get so many people doing the same exercise with squatting.
Right.
Is the repetitive overload, is that something that the mind picks up first, or does the body pick it up?
The mind, it's the central nervous system. But see, the body is really smart. It's going to accommodate the bands also. So the bands may be a stimulus in the beginning, but if you keep doing that, it's no longer a stimulus. So you need to change the stimulus. Never let accommodation happen.
Never let accommodation happen. And that's I would take, that's the mindset you take within your training.
My training, we do multiple movements with multiple implements, and we're constantly changing things, what I call chaotic training.
Gotcha.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos. Now also, we talked a little bit about some of the misconceptions as far as misconceptions about training, misconceptions about some misconceptions that the parents have, and also misconceptions that the athletes have. I'll say it for you, there is a misconception. Parents do assume that it's you should be able to get better that quickly. Now you told me, how long do you tell me it takes to make a world-class athlete?
Well, according to the Soviet studies, it takes about 4 years to build a champion athlete. And that's with this kid on the 4-year plan. So these things don't happen overnight. You have to push the body, let the body super compensate and all these things, and it just takes time. Some athletes develop faster than others. I think because our kids are under so much stress already, sometimes as parents overload them. So you actually become detrimental to them by pushing them all the time.
And is that something that you've seen has changed over the years? Is that something?
I see that maybe becoming even worse. You know, there's a lot of money out there in sports, and there's a lot of accolades and all that, and people are trying to get these things really fast instead of waiting.
Understand. Now, tell me, is there anything that you would like to say just to the coaches, to the parents, to the athletes, anything that you can say that so they have a better understanding what it is that you do and understanding this is how you get your son or daughter to the next level, or this is how you get them to college?
Well, me personally, you know, I don't feel like I've done my job if a kid stayed in here and he did all the work that I asked him to do, and he didn't turn out to be successful. And I feel I failed somewhere. I hate failure. So I'm in it with this kid. It's a symbiotic relationship. I'm not just in here to take your money. I'm in here to make sure you get better. I will give my life for that. And I think the really great coaches have that same mentality. Coaching is giving, teaching, not just taking. And then you're teaching these kids these same principles.
Now you got a camp coming up August 11th and August 12th. Tell me a little bit about that camp and what you're trying to get out there.
The whole idea, the big idea was to bring coaches together and get us to work together for the whole of the community. So it was my idea, again, to bring us together and also really give these kids some tools that they could take out of that camp and they could use in their own training methods or on their own.
And training methods, so that means that you're going to show them some of the things that you're doing here.
I'm going to actually go over things that I've done training pro athletes and you know, and high school athletes. And then there will be skills coaches in there, some of the best skill coaches in the area, or maybe in the country, will be in there. And these are guys that I'm comfortable with and they're comfortable with me. And our programs kind of work together in a great way.
So there you have it. This is Coach Anthony at Advanced Sports Training Institute. You can find him online, or you can just simply Google him. He's here to get you better. He's also here to help your mind, stimulate your body. I want to give a big shout out to Coach Eggleton for letting me come down and interview him. If you have any further questions, feel free to look him up. He's always here and he's glad to help. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.